This is the Gothic Beach Poem coming back with another episode of the Choose Your Own Adventure. Since this playlist is just called Stranded in the Rain or something to that effect, or at least that's what Chapter 1 is called, I'm going to go with that's just the name of this story at this point. So this is Chapter 3 of Stranded in the Rain, A Fight on Your Hands. Now, before we get into reading, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge that I do have a lot of subscribers in the Philippines. Now, I am fully aware that the exchange rate between Philippine pesos and USD is, just really, really crazy. And I don't have it set up yet, but I am trying to figure out how to get a free membership set up on my Patreon. It does not seem to be allowing me to set one up, so I have reached out to their support team to figure it out. This will allow my Philippine subscribers to be able to vote on the Choose Your Own Adventure outcomes, or rather the options, because, well, I just simply don't want to leave you out, as you are a large portion of my subscriber base. That will also allow for people who are not in the Philippines to also have a free membership and, maybe sign up from there. Who knows? I'm not expecting a lot of paid members. I just would like people to be able to vote. That is my primary goal of this. I just need Patreon to help me figure out how to enable unpaid memberships. So, let's get into the story. Chapter 3, A Fight on Your Hands. You've chosen to fight, and you have succeeded against a death roll. That's right, this was an option with death as a consequence. Possibly. Your adrenaline has kicked in, and you leap across the room to the tool shelf. Glancing over the tools, it's hard to see in the dark. A pair of garden shears stands out amongst the gloom. Even with this little light, you can make out the obvious stains of blood and rust on the blades. Your mind screams out danger at the sight of them. Dangerous is exactly what you need right now. You rip them off the wall and spin around just as you hear a heavy thud as something hit the door. You heard the hit, but the door isn't open. The light is right outside. You see the ring from the light clearly against the shade pulled over the window. You inch closer, getting ready to attack. The light hits the glass with a loud crack. The door shakes again as whoever is outside bounced off. A third hit causes a clear break, making a large chunk of the pane drop inwards, falling in front of you. More than a few pieces hit you and the glass shatters. Feels like a couple of small slivers might have made it into your shoe. The next hit comes in roughly the same rhythm, but this time you see a head come through the glass as the blind breaks free and rolls up. You see a woman's head, wearing one of those headband flashlights. She doesn't look at you, but just keeps pushing at the door with her head stuck through it. Your eyes adjust a little more, and you see how pale she is. You see blood coming down the door. Finally, you see a chunk missing from her throat, ripped out like it was done by a dog or something. You're stunned for a moment as the realization hits you, and you absolutely refuse to admit it. This woman is clearly dead, or so near it that there's no way she could be standing. You hear another thump near the door, another, then another, then another. Finally, you see part of another head stick through above the woman. This is all kinds of wrong. You know exactly what you're looking at, and you push it down in your mind. Another thump as the door caves in, and 3 bodies fall through. Panic takes over, and you stop thinking. You step forward, attacking with the shears. You stab, and you keep stabbing until you're pushed over from the side. You elbow the figure that pushed you in the face, and it doesn't give in. There's enough adrenaline in your system right now to shove this one off of you. You stabbed this one in the eye, and it stopped moving. You pause for a second as the panic subsides a little. You briefly forget the others in the pause until one grabs your shoe. Whirling around, you aim for the eyes again. Striking home, this one goes limp, ripping the shears out of your hand as its head falls to the floor. You grab for them again, but they're stuck. You grab harder and shove your foot against the corpse's shoulder to pull it free. The collarbone breaks and gives way, causing your foot to slip off. The others have reached you, and you scramble backwards. At least you're faster than they are. You back into a toolbox, and something falls in your lap. A chisel. Good enough. You grip it tightly and aim for the eyes on the next one, but in the dark you miss and it grabs your arm. You pull hard, but it almost drags you down. You stomp on its shoulder, breaking it, and the grip loosens enough for you to free your arm as you feel it bite down hard on your shoe. Stumbling backwards, your foot comes out of the shoe and you fall down. The one with the flashlight is finally turned towards you so you can see again. Not bothering to get back to your feet, you get on your knees and lunge for the eye of the one gnawing on your shoe. This time you don't miss. It goes limp and your shoe plops out of its mouth. You feel that your knee had ground into one of the shards of glass and stifle a groan as you notice the pain. You wrench the chisel free and try to get to your feet. The glass slivers in your shoe, now having made it farther down, stab into your foot, making you fall again. With just the one left, clearly able to see it, you decide to stay on the floor and let it come to you. You watch her slowly crawl over, wondering if this is the woman screaming before. You shudder as it dawns on you. This is probably what she meant by "don't let them get me" in her dying screams. As she enters arm's reach, you jam the chisel into her eye and she goes limp like the rest. Now you can breathe for a second. You notice a light but unmistakable scent of rot coming from one of the bodies. You ignore what you're thinking because you just don't want to face that reality right this second. You take the light off the woman's head and pull off your shoe to get the glass out. You find the spot the sliver went in and pull it out. It's almost an inch long, and you're surprised it didn't shatter inside. Luck seems to be trying to make up for putting you in this situation. You see a bruise on your other foot where you had been bitten. It didn't break the skin, but you're willing to bet that throbbing means something cracked inside. You clean out your sock and put the other shoe back on while looking around for where the other fell. Your shoe is right next to the one that bit down on it. You feel your heart beating as you hesitate for a second before snatching it away from the corpse. It doesn't move, but you know it definitely was moving around while dead before. You inspect the bite mark, and it clearly went most of the way through. Don't want one of those getting a hold of you without the shoe or something else stopping it. You finish lacing up your shoes, button up the coat you had slept under, and look around for some kind of work gloves, preferably thick leather ones. You find several pairs in the toolbox and pull them on. You also notice a crowbar. That should be a much more substantial weapon against any more of these. Taking the time to inspect the bodies, you notice they're all wearing what would look like typical preppy clothing, except it's black, and between them they have 3 different colors of trim. You roll over the woman you took the light off of to get a good look at her. She was young, maybe 25 at most, wearing a sweater vest over a button-up shirt and tie. The vest has a coat of arms on it that unnerves you a little. An Ouroboros intertwined with a skull, chains wrapping around the edges of the shield with Imperium Mortis written on it. You feel like this is a little on the nose and wonder what kind of absolute edgelord runs this place. Your reprieve is ripped away as the wind changes direction. The shack is immediately drenched as you're slapped in the face with the icy torrent. You can't stay here, and you can't go back to the car, so you do the only thing left to you. You walk outside and look for a way to ride out the storm and escape once it's clear. What little light you have reveals a dozen more of them shuffling around. Your eyes dart around and notice many which had been knocked to the ground by the change in wind. You realize that the bulk of them were knocked over as you take in just how many shapes are lying in a heap. None are particularly close to you, but the light clearly attracts the ones still standing. You know you're faster than them, so you look around for options. Now, this vote was already over, but the Patreon results were to head for a darkened window in the corner of the building that looks like you could have easily sprinted to, but there's a couple of them in the way. The next part will be out shortly. I think I'm going to record it immediately after this video. In fact, that way I'll be able to just edit them at the same time. I may even make them into a two-parter video. Might do them separately, I don't know. But if you hear this part of the explanation, it means that I decided to make them into two videos, and the other part is just still in editing. But it is recorded, and it will be out shortly. So this has been the Gothic Beach Bum. Feel free to follow along on Patreon whenever I figure out how to make a free membership over there. Or if you want to subscribe in the meantime, feel free to do so. Otherwise, just keep hanging out here on YouTube, waiting for the recaps. I'm going to split them up into being 2 week long instead of just individual weeks. It was a little stressful trying to come up with multiple options and then give myself, well, a whole story for each one. I think that waiting the 2 weeks actually made part 4 much better. Maybe it made it worse. Who knows? Either way, this one was about 2 weeks from the previous, and then, that followed suit. I think that you'll like the way that this goes going forward. It's going to be much more cohesive. And honestly, I'm probably going to cut out half of what I just said. This has been the Gothic Beach Bum. I'll be back. Take care.